In this video, I'm going to show you how to prepare your quotes and your notes for writing your papers. So what I have here is one of my notes for a whole set of notes for the stigma selections. And what I do when I prepare for a paper is I go back through all of my weeks of material that would be relevant to that paper, and I pull out the notes from the readings, and because they're direct quotes from the book, I can then use those quotes in my paper. Professors love when you quote properly a source. It shows that you have read the material, that you understand the material, and it just shows a mastery of the subject that just referencing the idea does not. I call it quote speak, which I do this, I use lots and lots of quotes because I have everything organized, and I can basically, anytime I have an idea, I find a quote for it and I reference it properly so that I'm not plagiarizing, and my professors love it. So when they ask for 10 references, I may have 20 or 30 references because, again, everything's at my fingertip. I might as well use all those resources. So let me show you how I prepare my quote list. It's sort of a pool of quotes that I then use to write the paper. So in a given semester, I may have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of quotes that would not apply to the paper. So the first thing I've got to do is I've got to take all those quotes and break them down into quotes that I can actually use for my paper that are on theme and on topic. And so the first thing I do is, here's my paper. I've added a quotes section, and I brought in, for examples, this would normally be in my weekly reading area, but I just brought in for example here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a master quote document. So this is my quote document, quotes. And I'm a very visual person, so you right click on the icon, and I'm going to put a little red flag, and it helps me jump when I bounce around. So this is my master quotes, and I'm going to move it up to the top. And I'm going to make that my top document, and my bottom document I'm going to make, I'm just going to go through, I'm going to do pretend here, but I'm going to go through all of the stuff that I think is relevant and copy and paste those quotes in here. So I think this is going to be relevant to my paper, so I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it. But what this lacks, let me zoom in here. What this lacks is the proper citation. And so I'm going to want to go back to my citation database right now and do the citation right now and tie it. Even if I quote it 50 times, or if I copy and paste 50 things in here, I want to cite each and every one so that when I go to write, I don't have to stumble around finding the citations. So I'm going to go to Zotero. I typed in stigma. I'm going to find my stigma selections. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the citation, click OK, and flip back to Scrivener and paste my citation in. I'm going to flip back to Zotero, copy my bibliography, the whole bibliography reference, go back, and type it. Now, what I may do is, if I like a bunch of these quotes, like this red one, now that I've got the first one in there, I'm going to copy that one. I'm going to copy this one. I'm going to copy, I really like this quote. I can read through these quotes super fast. And of course, if I need to go back to the material and reread the material, I know exactly where to go. Then I can just just copy and paste my site and my bibliography right here and here and here. I cannot stress enough why you want to keep these together. So now when I write the paper, I can just drop that in, cut that out, paste it in the bibliography section, and done. And if I use another quote, I can drop it in, copy and paste, and if I already have it there, when I go to paste it in, I'll know it, and I just get rid of the second reference. But this becomes now, if I have hundreds and hundreds of these things, it becomes very unruly to sort of manage this. So I'm going to go back to it. So I'm going to show you another trick that I do, and I tag these with little bits of information. So this one is stigma and social identity, the Greeks. So my tag is the Greeks. I'm just going to copy that, and I'm going to add a comment to this. And so what happens is up pops the comment window, and I just copied the Greeks, pasted the Greeks in there, and I may want to change, let me change the text color. So I right-click on here, and I'm just going to make that yellow. And so yellow for yellow. Then I'm going to come down here. Such an attitude is stigma, especially when... Okay, so I'm just going to select right here. I'm just going to copy. And I'm going to come back here. And I am going to create a new comment. And I'm going to paste it. This is my little note. And I'm going to, this was a red note. I can either make this red if I want to, or I can make it another color. And I just keep going through that so that when I'm running and gunning on my paper, all I have to do is go, you know what, I want that quote, and it automatically jumps me to that. Now let me show you a real life paper where I've done that. So this is my final paper for this class, and you can see here there are literally, I don't know, 50 some quotes or something that I used. Some of them I used, some of them I didn't use. They were all just, you can see here that I used this one because I highlighted it, and then I used the format and font and did strike through to tell me that I used it. But you can see here where I've done little notes. So if I want to talk about medical model of disability, there it was, and there was my quote, and there's my bibliographic reference. I could just copy this whole thing, just copy it straight into my paper, and then copy this into the bibliography section. And I could edit it up and tighten it to make it fit. Obviously, like these have got the hyphenations. I'd clean all that up in my editing process. But this allowed me to create a paper, and I'll show you the actual paper here. This is the actual paper itself. And when you start looking at this, let's look at it from the references perspective. These are all the references that I used in the paper. And professors love that. Let me show you the main contents of the paper. So you can see here where I have quote after quote after quote. You know, just in that section, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10 quotes in like 4 paragraphs. Now, again, I call it quote speak, where I use the quotes to talk. So I get the idea that I want in my outline, and then I use a quote that matches that idea, and it then shows the professor that, remember, I did do the reading, and look, I even brought that part of the quote in, and when I don't like a quote completely, I say that in my paper. I say there's parts of this quote that I like, and I outline that part, and this is where I disagree with, and I outline that part. And professors even love that even more, because now it's showing them that I've taken an idea and processed through what I want and what I like about it, and I'm explaining what I don't think fits or what I do think fits. So it really shows you the synthesis of information. So that's how I go about. You can see here, back to my quotes, I can just jump right here. And what I do, generally speaking, is I have my paper section up here, and then I just scroll through and find, as I'm writing, and scroll through. And you can see I've color-coded this. This particular color coding scheme happened to be different authors and different main ideas. But here you see there's a reference to video that I brought in here. Again, because I have it all here, I can search for terms and do all sorts of stuff to bring all that into my quote area, my master quote list, and then pick and choose the ones I want that I'm writing that fit perfectly. So that's how you do quote speak, and that's how you organize quotes for your papers.